daughter kept insisting she wasn't hungry at dinner every night, until I found out she'd been saving her plate for someone waiting outside. It started about 2 months ago. My daughter Josie, normally an enthusiastic eater, especially when it came to her favorite meals, started leaving most of her dinner untouched, insisting she'd already eaten a big snack after school, or simply wasn't hungry that evening. At first, I didn't think much of it. Kids go through phases with appetite all the time, but the pattern continued, night after night, regardless of what I made, even her usual favorites that she'd normally clear off her plate without hesitation. I started worrying about something more serious, wondering if she was dealing with stress at school, or possibly something related to body image that I needed to address carefully and gently. I sat with her one evening, asking as calmly as I could whether something was bothering her about eating, whether she felt worried about anything related to food or how she looked. She seemed almost startled by the question, quickly reassuring me that wasn't it at all, though she wouldn't elaborate much further beyond that. The behavior kept happening though, and I noticed something odd alongside it. She started asking to take her plate to her room some evenings, or requesting to eat on the back porch, instead of at the table with the rest of us, always with some reasonable sounding excuse about homework or wanting quiet time. One evening, curious and a little worried, I quietly checked on her through the back door, instead of announcing myself the way I normally would. Josie wasn't eating at all. She was carefully wrapping her plate in foil, then slipping out toward the side gate that led to the alley behind our house. I followed at a distance, my heart pounding with uncertainty about what I might find. At the end of the alley, near an old shed behind our neighbor's fence, Josie handed the wrapped plate to another girl I recognized vaguely from school pickup, someone I didn't know personally but had seen occasionally in Josie's grade. I waited until Josie came back inside before saying anything, not wanting to embarrass either girl by confronting the situation directly in that moment. When Josie walked back through the door, I gently told her I'd seen what happened and asked her to sit down and explain everything to me properly. She broke down almost immediately, relief clearly mixing with fear as she finally let it out. Her classmate Priya had been dealing with an unstable home situation for months, her family recently losing their apartment, currently staying temporarily in a relative's overcrowded place, where meals were inconsistent and often insufficient for everyone living there. Josie had noticed Priya seeming hungry and quiet at school weeks earlier, eventually learning the situation after gently asking. Rather than telling an adult immediately, she decided quietly, in the way kids sometimes do, to start sharing her own dinner every night, meeting Priya in the alley where she wouldn't have to explain herself to anyone or feel embarrassed in front of classmates. I felt an overwhelming mix of emotions hearing this. Worry over how long my daughter had been carrying this responsibility completely alone, but also profound pride in her instinct to help someone quietly, rather than looking away from a friend clearly struggling. I told Josie gently that this wasn't something she needed to manage by herself anymore, that Priya and her family needed real support beyond what one plate of dinner each night could realistically provide. She was hesitant, protective of Priya's privacy, but eventually agreed to let me help properly. I reached out carefully to the school counselor the next day, and together we connected Priya's family with local resources, emergency housing assistance, and a food support program that could actually sustain them consistently rather than relying on one child's quiet generosity each evening. Josie and Priya are close friends now, openly, with Priya coming over for dinner regularly through the front door, instead of meeting secretly by the back gate. What looked like a worrying eating pattern turned out to be exactly the kind of quiet compassion most parents hope their children carry, even when we're the very last ones to understand what we're actually witnessing happen right under our own roof.